Hey, boys and girls, welcome back to another day of math. Instead of doing a little review, we are going to jump right in today because we have been doing this each day, and I think we're just going to jump right on in and work through it together. Okay, so look at the top of the page. We are on page 313. This is the page 313. It says both reptiles and amphibians live in the desert. Tiger salamanders need to lay their eggs in water, so they live near ponds or springs in the desert. One salamander laid 10 eggs that hatched. Okay, and I will give you a reminder clue. Everything on these pages are going to be tenths. Are going to be tenths out of 10 or out of 100. Okay, just like we only have dimes. Okay, dimes, which would equal like 10 cents, 10 out of 100, or a tenth, or we're going to have pennies. Okay, and pennies would equal 1/100th. Okay, that's all we're going to work with today. That's it. So we have tenths and hundredths. So I will give you a clue. We're not going to be talking about any other fractions besides tenths and hundredths. And we're going to use those as decimals, and we're going to use them as fractions. So we're going to show how they relate to each other. And we've already done that a little bit, but we're going to dive into that a little bit more. Okay, so what did the question say? Or what did the little statement say up here? One salamander laid 10 eggs. So do you think this is going to be out of tenths or 100? Out of 10 or 100? Yeah, it's out of 10 because there's 10 eggs that the salamander laid. Okay, they laid 10 eggs. So these are going to represent our 10 eggs. Do you see how they're not square, but do you see how this fraction represents 10 eggs? It's 10 parts. Yes, so there's 10 parts of the group. It says 3/10 of the baby salamanders are female. Do you see that? 1, 2, 3/10 are female. 7/10 are male. Okay, so 3 out of all those eggs, 3 of them were born baby girls, and 7 of them were born baby boys. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. Do you see how that's 3/10 up top for the girls, and then 7/10 for the boys? Okay. Now here's how it relates to a decimal. Let's continue that a little bit more. It says decimals express parts of the whole without using numerators and denominators. Okay? Decimals use place value to show the relationship between the parts and the whole. So place value, and this is what we have done before. Okay? I'm going to show you a number. Here we go. I'm just going to make up any number. 187, I'll even make it dollars. $187.45. Okay, if we were to discuss the place value, we have hundredths, 5/100ths. That would be like 5 pennies. Okay, then we have how many tenths? How many dimes? 4/10. How many $1 bills? 7 ones. Okay, if we only had $100 bills, $10 bills, $1 bills, dimes, and pennies. So keep thinking like that. That's all we have to work with. So we have 7 ones. How many tens? 8 tens. And how many hundreds? How many hundreds? Sorry if I get another color. 100s. So they're saying place value, going back to this one right here, 3 is part of the tenths. Okay, so this is be 3 parts out of the tenths. Now this is the tenths place, and this is the hundredths. Hundredths. Okay, hundredths. Sorry, it's very sloppy. Hundredths with a TH on the end. Okay, so if you have 3 parts out of 10, you're only looking at the tenths place. Okay, it's like saying, how many dimes do you have? 3 parts out of 10. Looks like this. Because this is the tenths place. Same as the dimes. Okay? 1 digit to the right of the decimal point is the tenths place. So see, 1 digit, just 1 digit to the right of the decimal is the tenths place. The parts are tenths of a whole. So this is what we've already done, boys and girls. They're just reminding you and breaking it down. So we did them separately, but now we're talking about tenths and hundredths all in the same lesson. Okay, so let's do the other one, hundredths. Okay, if you have 47 right here out of 100, see, this is 10, 20, 30, 40, plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 47 right here. 47 shaded in out of 100. That's the same as, so if I was thinking about these in dimes and pennies, so here's a row of 10, that's like a dime. Here's a row of 10, that's like a dime. Here's a row of 10, that's like a dime. Here's a row of 10, that's like a dime. How many do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Plus how many little pennies? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 4. Do you see that? There's 4 groups of 10, 4 tenths, and 7 ones. And the easy way, out of 100, 47 hundredths. And we read it by the last number. We had the last place value. So this is hundredths. 47 hundredths. Okay, so 2 digits to the right. 2 digits to the right of the decimal. 1, 2. 2 digits to the right of the decimal points to the hundredths place. That's one right here, hundredths place. The parts are hundredths of a whole. Okay, so let's look at that some further. It says write a fraction for each picture. Then write the decimal that has the same place value as the fraction. Okay, so what's the first thing we're going to do? Write the decimal the first thing we're going to do is write a fraction for each picture. Then we're going to write the decimal that has the same value as the fraction. So fraction first. Guess what? These are either going to be tenths or hundredths. There's no other choice. That's all we're doing. So just know, oh, I don't have to count all these squares. Is this a 10 rod or is this a 100 square? It's a 10 rod. So I know this is going to be out of 10. I'm writing in my denominator right now. How many out of 10 do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 tenths. As a decimal, I'm only going to go to the tenths place. I'm going to show you what they are again. Here's the ones. They're all going to have no holes. We have the tenths and we have the hundredths. Okay? We have the tenths and we have the hundredths. Okay, if it's to the tenths, boys and girls, if it's to the tenths, the place value is going to be 1 over from the decimal, 1 to the right of the decimal. Okay, so let's practice it. 8 tenths. 8 tenths. See the tenths place right here? 1 to the right of the decimal, 8 tenths. So it's like 8 dimes. If I was writing it in money, it would be 80 cents. Okay, 8 dimes is the same as 80 cents. So what's the answer? 8 tenths. Oops. 8 tenths, because this is the tenths place. Okay, now my next one. Ooh, it's a 10 rod again. I'm going to write the 10 right here. Okay, how many do we have out of 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 10? We're only going to go to the tenths place. I'm going to write it here so I remember that's my tenths place. That's all I need. That's tenths. If it was 100, I have 2 places over. This is the dimes place. Here we go. Tenths. And how many did we get? 6. There's my answer. Now we are moving away from the tenths and we're going to hundredths. Do you see it? We know that this is out of 100. So I'm going to write 100 on the bottom of both these. I know already that it's 100. You know what else I know? That it's going to have 2 decimal places over. I know that. I'm going to remind myself. I'm going to put it down right here because to the hundredths place, I need 2 digits after the decimal to make this right. So let me see how many we have here. 10, 20, 30 plus 1, 2, 3, 4. 34. 34 out of 100 is the same as 34 hundredths. 0.34. That's 34 hundredths. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to count the next one. Be careful when you count. This is where people make silly mistakes. Okay, I'm going to write it down. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And you know what I do? What I do, boys and girls, is I see how many rows are left right here. Okay, there's 3 rows left. Okay, I know that's going to be 70. I just kind of look at that really quick and just say, double check to make sure I'm right. Yes, there's 70 rows. Plus 2 more, 70, 71, 72. I know this equals 72. 72 parts out of 100. 72. And do you see why this works? Is there 7 rows of 10 here? Yes, there's 7 tenths. And how many little extra 100ths right here? 2. And 2 little 100ths. Now, does that match? Yes, it does. That's why that works. Good job, boys and girls. Stick with it. Here we go. Turn the page. Oops. Turn the page. All right. Color the squares to represent each fraction. Write the decimal. So there's a couple different instructions here. Color the squares to represent each fraction. Write the decimal. Place a 0 in the ones to show that there are no ones. That's what we've been doing this whole time. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to color the squares to represent the fraction. I know this is out of 10. I'm just going to trust it. 2 out of 10, 2 tenths. Do you see that? Now it says write the decimal. All we're going to is the tenths place. Here's the 0. We're only going to the tenths place. That's it. The tenths place. So my answer, if I were writing this out, it says put a 0 to show there's no ones. Write the decimal. And what number goes in the tenths place? 2. 2 tenths. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, let's look at the next one. 9 tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you want to color that neater than me, that's okay. 9 tenths. Do you see how that's 9 right here? 9 tenths. Now I know it's only going to go one spot over because that's the tenths place. So what number do I put there? I put a 9. 0.9. That is 9 tenths. Okay, let's do another one. 7 tenths. How many am I going to shade? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 tenths. Now, if I'm writing that down, I know that there's going to be no whole numbers, and I only need a number in the tenths place. That's it. One number to the right of the decimal is the tenths place. What number is going to go there, boys and girls? 7. So I know it's 0.7. That is 7 tenths. Awesome. Do you see the pattern? Okay, let's try it again. If you, at any time, if you want to pause the video, try it on your own, and then check with me, awesome. And you know what? There are times where I might actually write the wrong number or do something silly, and you can actually correct me and let me know. Send me an email or just say, hey, Mrs. Kornthal, guess what? You wrote the wrong number down, silly. And because guess what? I do that. I try not to, but even when I'm being the most careful, I might make a mistake, so you can catch me. Okay, here we go. 4 tenths. How many am I going to shade in? 1, 2, 3 4/10. Do you see it? 4/10. Okay. I know in my answer, there's no whole numbers, and there's only going to be something in the tenths place. Well, what number is that? What number do we have? It's going to be 4. 4/10. I know there's no whole numbers. There's my decimal, and there's a 4 in the tenths place. And that is it for that one. Okay, last one. I think you see the pattern. I'm going to color in 6. 6 out of this 10 rod. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I colored in 6 because there's 6/10. I know that there's no whole numbers. I know that there'll be a decimal. And I know that there will be a digit in the tenths place. And that is it. What number am I going to put in the tenths place, boys and girls? Well, let's write the 0. There's no whole numbers. There's my decimal. And what number goes in the tenths place? 6. 6/10. And I would say that 6/10. It sounds just like the fraction, but that's what the decimal looks like. Okay, now it says, match the decimal with the equivalent fraction. So equivalent fraction means equal, like which one is the same thing. Okay, so I'm looking, these are all out of 100ths. Do you see? And all these are in the 100th spot right here. I'll highlight it for you. See, this is to the 100ths. The 100ths place, there's 2 spots over. 100ths place, 2 spots over. Okay, it's super easy, boys and girls. Which number matches? 30 100ths, 30 100ths. Do you see it? Okay, the next one. 46 100ths. Look, 46 100ths. Right here. Do you see it? Okay, last but not least, let's double check it. 20 100ths, 20 100ths. Do you see it right there? Awesome. Great. Ooh, here we go. Write the fraction for each decimal. We need to look at our place value, boys and girls. Remember, we have ones. Ones. Then we have, I'll make it bigger, tenths, hundredths. Okay, so if it is 1 over, that's the tenths place. If it's 2 over, it's the hundredths place. So let's just look at these real quick. 1 over, that's the tenths place. 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 And there's the hundredths place. And there's the hundredths place. This doesn't have any hundredths place. And remember, we name it by the furthest 1 over. So we are looking at the 1 in this spot, 1 in this spot, 1 in this spot, and 1 in this spot. So this is tenths. So I know that my denominator will automatically be tenths. How many tenths do I have, boys and girls? 5. 0.5 is 5 tenths. Think about that in dimes. 5 dimes out of 10 dimes, it's like 50 cents. There you go. Tenths place. Tenths place, my denominator will be 10. How many are in the tenths place? 8. There's 8 tenths. Now this one here, on my furthest 1 over, what place value is that, boys and girls? Hundredths. So I know my denominator is hundredths. And how many do I have? I have 14 100ths. 14 hundredths. Like 14 cents. Okay, do you see it? How many cents do I have here? Be like saying, I have 23 cents. My furthest place value is hundredths. So I know this is out of 100. How many do I have out of 100? 23 cents is 23 out of 100. All right. It's easy to get tricked, but this isn't tricky. Okay? If you're going fast, that's where you're going to make your mistakes. But the idea behind it is actually super simple, boys and girls. Just look at the tenths place and the hundredths place. That's all we're looking at. Out of tenths and out of hundredths. But where you will get mixed up is if you start missing, if you goes too fast and you skip your place value. Okay, complete each row. I know this is a review, but I want to do it with you because sometimes these funny little grids end up confusing you. So it says complete each row using the operations in the order given. So what are they saying right here? In the order given. And they gave you the first one. So let's see if we can get this to work out. 6 plus 2 is what? Let's see if I can get this right. 8. 8 minus 3 is 8 minus 3, 8, 7, 6, 5. 5 times 4 equals 20. 20 divided by 2 is 10. Yay! Honestly, I was a little nervous. I was going to get that wrong. Okay, let's look at the next one. And I'm actually going to write it out right here. And I'm going to switch colors so you can see it a little bit better. So 8 plus 5 equals what? 8 plus 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 equals 13. And then 13 minus 6 equals 7. 7 times 5 equals 35. And then 35 divided by 7 equals what? 5. Your answer is 5. So you're using these. I'll even put it right here. So divided by, plus, and then subtract, whatever your answer is, subtract, times, divided by. Okay, I want you to pause the video. I want you to try these last two on your own. Because remember, you don't get strong by watching workout videos from the couch. Try it. If you don't get it, like if I was watching a workout video and they were doing way heavier weights than I could handle, I would try and then I would put them down and then I drop it to a lower weight. So it's okay to not be able to keep up fully, but I want you to try on your own. So pause the video, finish these last two, and then I'll do it with you. Okay, so pause now. Okay, if you're back, you have an answer on these last two. And you're just doing it with me, just to double check that you got it. Okay, let's see the first step. 12 plus 2 equals 14. 14 minus 6 is what? 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. 8 times 3 is 8, 16, 24, 24. What is 24 divided by 4? 24 divided by 4 equals 6. If you got that, way to go. In all honesty, boys and girls, Mrs. Kornthal sometimes gets these wrongs too. So if you got 6, I know that's correct. And give yourself a pat on the back. Way to go. I'm going to switch colors again because this is getting a little bit busy. 7 plus, do you see the plus right here? So 7 plus 9 equals 16. What's the next thing we do? Subtract. 16 minus 6 is 10. I'm going to write it right here. What's the next thing we do? Times. 10 times 3 equals 30. What's the last thing we do? Division. 30 divided by 5 equals 6. Awesome. Way to go. Way to go. All right, boys and girls, that is enough math for the day. Unless you want to take on some of your own challenges, go get some pennies and dimes and make your own decimals today. Literally, get 10 pennies, or actually you only need 9 pennies, 9 pennies and 9 dimes, and make some decimals out of them. That can be your challenge work for today. As always, the most important thing of all that we do is to love God and love your neighbor. Okay, boys and girls, have a great day.